So hi everyone and welcome to Ibi Speaks. Today I have HR specialist and wordsmith speak on Your Words Matter, Use Them Wisely. He has an article on my website, One Womanity, titled Your Words Are a Unit of Creation, Use Them Wisely. But before I go into the conversation proper, I'd like to thank everyone who is on the show today. I'd like to thank my first-time viewers and also returning viewers. I am highly appreciative of the fact that you made it, and I am happy to have Mr. Afanyaa.
You, Ivy.
I saw the things you were doing on LinkedIn, your Word Cafe podcast, and I was like, you know what? I like what this guy is saying, and I would like him to be on my show. So how did you go from biochemistry, HR, to authoring 2 poetry collections and a podcast?
Actually, I have 3 books.
Yes, and book on HR collections, yeah.
For me, biochemistry, I never wanted to study biochemistry in school. That's the truth. I wanted to actually do medicine, But that's what you say to yourself growing up as a child, maybe because you see doctors all around and all that. But discovering myself, fine. I needed to go to school, and the opportunity, yes, to go to school was go through biochemistry.
Okay.
Yeah, so I would say that was what I was given, so to say. But from the very word go, I've been involved with people, what HR will call people management. I love being around people. I love talking. Why? Because I grew up from my background, my family background. My grandfather was a fisherman, and he tells us a lot of stories. And, for those of us who are from the Niger Delta, you'll understand what I'm talking about.
I do. Yeah.
All the escapades and all the whatever along the coast. He tells these stories, and wow, the stories just created an atmosphere of imagination all around me. So that's me. Fine, went to school, biochemistry and all that. But the thought on the inside has always been towards people. On campus, I was involved with a Christian group, Nigeria Fellowship. I was the general secretary in my group. I grew up to become the zonal general secretary, which took me around almost all the schools in the South. And
really?
Yes. Then it took me even to the national level, where you need to crisscross the country, go to Jos, travel around. So that exposure gave me an edge. For a general secretary, I was not usual. I was unusual because I discovered what it means to be a scribe. I put it this way: scribes are people who describe, and more often what they describe come to describe us. They write it down. I came to discover that when you are in a meeting, people who take minutes, at the end of the day, they dictate the meeting. That's they took the minutes of the meeting. So when we want to publish, okay, what happened in that meeting? The scribe will come and tell you this was, even when you didn't say that thing, he's telling you that you said it because it's in the minute.
Is it not because maybe you forgot that you said it?
No, speaking and writing are 2 different things. That's why scriptures will always say, write it down. Because when it is written, it cannot be disputed with. That's the truth. So I discovered that early. Then I did my things differently. I just got that revelation. So when I left school, I just told myself, biochemistry, thank you, but let me go after my passion, of people. And by God's grace, I got a job with an oil and gas firm, in HR. So I had to switch. I mean, I had to do as in go do a degree in HR, to get that, would I say, academic view of the HR practice. So that's how I got into, I studied HR then. I've been in HR all my life. This is about 13 plus years going on to that. How did I come into writing? I've been writing anyway, but how did I really tell myself now it's time to express yourself via writing and via speaking? All of this came 2020, but the real event happened in 2017.
We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about that. So just hold that thought. Just hold it. We're going to get there. So you describe yourself to be a wordsmith.
Yeah.
Who's a wordsmith?
So an analogy, a goldsmith,
Yeah.
Somebody who picks up the raw material called gold and forges it into something beautiful, taking out the impurities and what have you. Simply put, in the layman description, that's the goldsmith. Now, juxtapose that with the word wordsmith. You pick up words and you create a future with words. You paint a picture like a collage with words. And when people hear you speaking or writing, passing the message across, it is like, wow, you are forging something that beats my mind. I never saw it like this before. There are words, like they are common. You see them everywhere. But you have created something unique. My wife will always tell me, she will always tell me that I don't understand you, because whenever you write, you're too deep in your writing, but somehow you paint that picture. I can't get it off my head. I can't just get it off my head. Let me tell you something that happened 3 days ago. A colleague calls me out of nowhere and says, please, I'm looking for somebody that will write something for me. I said, okay, fine. D.K. Chukwumerije is a good friend of mine, the poet. So, yeah, and I said, you can call D.K. now. D.K. would help because we're all together. She now said, I don't know him so well. But what about you? You're a writer now. Why you don't? I said, but you didn't ask me. You didn't come direct. She said, what do you mean? I said, okay, what do you want? She said she lost an uncle who is so dear to her, so she wants to eulogize him. She wants to write him and all that. I said, okay, fine. What relationship do you have with him? She was just talking and I was writing. I don't know him from anywhere. I was just writing. So I told her, okay, I was writing, I was taking the details.
Notes.
Yeah. So I told her, no problem, I'll get back to you. So and so. A few days later, I sat down like, okay, how best does she want to eulogize her uncle from what she has described? And this word came to me. The word, they say diamonds are forever. Diamonds are the best, a girl's best friend. But what came to me was memories are forever. They are the diamonds that lit our dark sky. That was the beginning of that word. So I started writing. And when I finished, what I usually do when I write, I pass it to my wife to read. She just told me, please just give it to this woman because you have just finished us. You have finished us. So when I finished to her, it's like, I know the uncle. She just told me, you just wrote exactly what I wanted. I said, okay, fine. Thank you. So that is what a wordsmith as a
you craft
the word. So discovering this is a gift, and I thank God for that. When I discovered it, I pursued it.
Yeah, I want to talk about that discovery. So in your article, right?
Yeah.
I read your article and it talked about you from when you were this high to this. Okay. So, and you said in your article that you were more of an imaginative kind of person. You loved imagination was everything to you. So I'm just wondering how you were like writing words when you actually hated those black ink on paper. So you were often distracted in class until Mrs. Jones.
Oh, the magical.
Yeah. And then,
the
yes.
wonderful. The wonderful.
Yeah. So you know what I was interested in when I was reading the article? I was picturing Mrs. Jones. I was like, okay, I was picturing Mrs. Jones. I'm picturing you, and kind of like was imagining. I put myself in, like the shoes of a little boy or little girl, as the case may be, because I was trying to understand your thinking, and I think I did. And then Mrs. Jones told you something. It was Mrs. Jones that, according to your article, that helped you to understand. She connected the meaning of the black ink on paper. What did she tell you?
Mrs. Jones will ever be my hero in all of my stories as about writing. Growing up, what I fed myself with, for those of us who were born in that generation, Sesame Street.
Sesame Street, yes.
Yes, the program. So I watch a lot of Sesame Street.
Yeah.
What Sesame Street is like, that was what helped my imagination.
Sesame Street, yeah, I did. I watched this a lot as well.
Exactly. So when it comes to reading, it's a burden. It's like, why not just show me a movie or something and just show me a movie, an animation or something, and let's carry on with this. But when she saw that I'm always excited talking about movie characters, because she noticed it. You like talking about movie characters, but the minute we come into the classroom to pick up a book, you just go, I don't
like it. Yo.
So what she did was, the characters in movies are actually words. You need to see it that way. They're actually words. First of all, before a movie is cast or created, you must write it down. And again, yes, you must write it down. I guess another thing that really influenced me was my granddad. He tells the story. He doesn't write it. Not his fault, because he doesn't have that formal education.
Yeah.
It's folklore. So I enjoy stories. I enjoy telling stories.
I love it too.
Exactly. So I guess that also put me at a disadvantaged position at that time. But when she saw that energy, and she's like, no, see yourself like when you're writing, like you're watching a movie. You're creating characters. I said, okay, fine. Have you seen the movie Inkheart? Brandon Fraser, look for that movie. You will appreciate what I'm talking about. Inkheart, a writer who expresses himself on paper, and he didn't know he was creating a universe.
Oh, really?
The characters started jumping out of from the pages of the book. They became real. Though we know that's an animation. I mean, it's a movie and all that. But that was what Mrs. Jones created. That, so she started connecting me with it. And when I saw what she was seeing, what I mean, it's not that I didn't see it, but now
it clicked.
Exactly. The scale fell off my eyes. So I really entertain myself by writing. Fortunately, people stumble upon your write-ups and they are also entertained. And you are getting the attention and the recognition, and it's exciting. Oh, they like what I wrote. Oh, they like what I wrote, and boom. That was how, for me.
But you also said, right, that she made you realize that you could create the future that you wanted with words.
Yeah, with words, the future. Now, the word future, sorry to say, I'll go a little bit philosophical here now. We always think the future is one location, one geographical location that you have to travel to, not knowing that.
But I see the future in my mind.
Thank you. So it is what you envisage, what you see from your mind's eye, and you begin to create it. So when she revealed that to me, I even used that technique to learn how to speak. How did I learn how to speak? As in, speak very well. Because somebody heard me speak once before now, and he said, "Oh, like you were born abroad or something." I said, hey, I was born in Nigeria. I was not born abroad anywhere. And Nigeria then born me. But then, where did you learn how to do that? Simply, the same technique that Mrs. Jones showed me. I sit and I listen to newscasters, Cyril Stober,
Yeah.
Yeah, so I just listen to the way they're speaking, the way they present, the way the words come. So what I now did was to go and stand in front of the mirror. I look at myself in the mirror. Hi, good evening. My name is Cyril Stober. Or hi, I'm John Momo with the 9 o'clock news. And I started practicing all that, and what I was trying to envisage is myself in that mode. That I need to speak like them. I need to sound like them, if not better than them. But
and you were a little boy when you were doing that, were you?
I was in primary school. I was barely 11 or so. I became very, conscious of it. Then CNN came on board, Larry King.
Oh, yeah.
And what is her name? It used to be one
Christina
yes.
Mampo. Is it Bobby Batisca?
No, before Christina came, Elsa Clench.
Bobby Batisca.
No, Style with Esther Clench, if you remember, on CNN.
Oh, yeah, I remember her, yeah.
Exactly. I don't see her anymore. Then Christy came on towards the Bosnia War. That was when Christy
came that's when she came here.
Of war reporter and all that.
Yeah.
Reese Khan, we had Reese Khan, we had Michael Holmes. So I listened to them. The one that really, really gave me that thing was Larry King. I love.
I did too. I love Larry King as well.
I love that guy. I went as far as looking for his real name to know it. His name Larry King. I discovered his name. The King was just a show name. Larry Vega, that was his name. I read his books and all that. So using what she taught me, I had to create that future.
Yeah. So now let's talk about creating the future with your words. And I'll say this, when you send your article, right? When I read the article, and of course we had to post it. And then I was trying to look for the best kind of image to put out so that the listeners would understand the depth or the science or the spirituality of what we're talking about. So we got that guy that opened his mouth and we had words coming out. Okay, so what is the science and the spirituality about the words? Because it's only when we understand the science of it and the spirituality of it that we will be able to use it.
I need to share something with you. Very personal. Yes, very personal. And I rarely say this in public. Not to come across like one spooky person. I had an encounter growing up in school to discover myself in course of praying, because I'm a very spiritual person. I'm very spiritual in what I do. So I had this encounter. I saw myself in a room. I'll tell you why I'm telling you this story when I finish the story. I saw myself in a room. I was praying, and I saw somebody walk into the room, which I believe is Jesus. He showed me a book. He raised the book, red cover with an image, well-built image, what we will call six-pack for guys. And he smiled at me and he said, "It will come out of you like this."
Okay.
Now you know why I'm telling you the story.
I think I do.
Yes, it will come out of you like this. And when he said like this, I remember lying down when I was praying. But when he said like this, I saw myself standing up. So that image you used with somebody opening up his mouth, and those were not words. That is the spirit coming out. But it is for us to understand it in this dimension. There need to be what we call letters. Letters, the text. That's why the word of God says the letter kills, but the spirit gives life. So that thing you're releasing from the inside, that is the force of life.
That's the word.
That's the word. The best way, that's the word. So as it's coming out of you, you need to express it in this dimension for humanity to understand. And how do you express it? Through letters.
Through speech.
Through speech. Through writing. So you put it down using the language that this dimension understands. So it means you have to learn the language of this dimension. That's why we go to school, so to say, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H. Those are alphabets. From alphabets, you create letters or words, rather, what we call words. From there, you create sentences. From there, you create speech, writing. But hello, there is a life. Now, let me ask you this question. When Moses was on the mountain encountering God, which language was God speaking to Moses?
Jump question.
If you understand what I mean by that.
He spoke in a language that Moses would understand.
The spiritual language, God. But the message God gave to Moses needed to be understood in this dimension. And what did Moses do? Because Moses went to school, he was lettered. You know, when you go to school, they say you're lettered. He was lettered. He speaks Hebrew. He speaks Egypt. So what did he do? He came down and wrote it in an understandable through words. So the children of Israel now saw, okay, this was the message God gave to Moses in letters. So how do you create your future?
Fantastic.
Yeah, how do you create your future? I want to be a medical doctor. That's my future. I want to be a medical doctor. That's my future. That's the future I want to go to. So how do I create it? You start speaking. When you speak, there is a psychology that when you do something 7 times, the likelihood for it to become an attitude, a character, a behavior is high.
Okay.
No, yes, it's high. Yes. Psychologically, if you look at it, you do something repetitively for 7 days. Somebody said, why do you say 7 days? The act of creation. So you speak that word. I want to be a doctor. The minute you verbalize it, an image is created.
Okay.
And that image creates, in my opinion, a force field, an energy field all around you.
Yeah.
And every day of your life, it haunts you. It haunts you. How do I mean by it haunts you? It puts you in that state that you must do things that doctors do, or do things that will make you become a doctor. And how is that? You begin to read, you begin to research, you begin to search for things. You begin to I want to help people. It's because you have spoken it. And you believe what you have spoken.
Now, that's the question I want to ask you. Now, if I just hold that thought.
Right.
Okay, because we're going to come back there. There are 2 questions.
Yeah.
You haven't answered the science part of it, but you're going to answer it. Now, I was going to ask you, but some people would say you're all talk and no walk. So is it everything that you say that happens? Because some people say so many things and they end up not doing it. So is it every word that you speak that has a force field of creation in it?
Every word you speak has a force field of creation. Scientifically, it has been proven that the universe is still expanding till tomorrow.
Okay.
The universe is still expanding till tomorrow. Why would the universe still be expanding? Because a word was spoken into being. God spoke it into being, and it's still happening. Now, whether you want to believe it or not, every word you utter becomes. Every word. Every word. I mean it. So that's why they say, be careful of what you wish for. Don't say I was joking. No.
Okay, I want to bring you to the next question. You and I have a similar background or similar backgrounds. We are from Niger Delta. We are Migikiri people, right? And when you talk about your grandfather telling you stories, I was just teleported back into those days in Okrika, where I don't know if they call it the same in Calabar, where we sit down and they're telling us stories or doing Obi is like this play hide and go seek. We used to do that, right? So I grew up, I was very lucky to have the kind of I'll say is well-rounded experience that I had, because I spent time, we used to go to Okrika for holidays and then city and then, story of my life. So I kind of like have a feel of what the ancients, the ancestors, the senior always used to say. So like, at home, like when somebody says something, the people would say, bang, because they've said something that you spoke wrong. So you have the adult that says, excuse me, guys, excuse my French. What it means is that you've been spoken.
I will explain your French. Don't worry, go on.
Then God, wash your mouth. And then you take water, you wash your mouth, you spit it, and say, then you reverse. So that's what I'm asking you now. Does it work?
It works.
Why do they use water to wash them out?
It's symbolic. Water is symbolic. It works. It's very true. Okay. Let us look at it from the scriptural perspective. Jesus said, the words I speak, they are what? They are spirit and they are life. Now, God said, every word that comes out of my mouth would not come back void until it accomplishes that for which I have sent it. Yes. Now, Isaac, in blessing his children, Esau and Jacob, when Jacob deceived and took the blessing, what did Isaac tell Esau? I have blessed your
brother already.
Brother. There's nothing I can do about it. Even though I'll give you a blessing, but I have given him the blessing of the covenant. When our parents speak over us, these things are real. And when they say things that they didn't mean, they have to counter it by saying another. That's the washing of the mouth you're talking about. Use a glass of water and all.
Yeah.
Yes, because the only thing that can counter word is word.
Okay. I'll write it down. The only thing that can counter word
is word. Like I said, our parents were very traditional. I understand it.
Yeah.
Yes. So when they speak those words and they want to count, they tell you, first of all, you stand and recount what you said. Recount it. Then symbolically, you wash your mouth. You wash where it proceeded from. And say, I didn't mean it. I counter what I have said. Why? Because you occupy a position. First of all, you are a spirit being. Don't forget that. And that dimension has full control over the physical. Absolutely. Let me give you an example. We all look at Picasso, the artist Picasso. Now, Picasso is known in the 20th century as one of the most influential artists.
Yeah.
He came with the cubism, realism, and all that. Now, the other day I was listening, or rather following one of the things about him, and I asked myself this question: where did he get his materials from? Because he was also a poet. He wrote apart from, and where did he get his materials from? Definitely from that dimension, the spiritual dimension. But now he is so gifted in crafting that material into colors, into forms, into words, that we now enjoy it, appreciate it. That's it. So from that dimension, he got it from that dimension. What is the dimension? The spiritual dimension. First of all, you are. And the only way we create through words
is by speaking.
Is by speaking. Yes, that's the only way we create. That is the only. Somebody said, yes, that is the only way you create. When you.
But don't you think that you have to be intentional about it? Because some people say things and it never happens. They say, they expect money today. No, what I expect money will come.
Let's come to the intentionality.
Okay.
Yes, let's come to the intentionality. The problem a lot of us have as human beings, even in Africa or Nigeria, is that we don't know that when we say things, we need to follow up.
All right, that's it. So say.
Yes, scientifically speaking, let me bring you, because my background is biochemistry. Now, when you're carrying out tests in the lab and you want to check for concentration, what do? You check for the amount of the solute, or the solid rather, in the solute, in the liquid. There's a way you determine that. But it's like pouring salt into water. When you pour a pinch of salt into water, you stir it. Does it disappear?
Well, it depends on how you mix it. You could have particles on the surface.
With your eyes again, it mixes with the liquid. Now keep pouring. Keep pouring. Keep pouring. Don't stop pouring. It gets to a point, the salt refuses to dissolve in the water. What happens? It begins to precipitate, begins to come out. That is how it works. I go get money today, you go and sleep. No, I go get money today. Wear your trousers, walk out. Wear your trousers, walk out. Let me tell you, part of my experience, how I came to discover that, see, the word, you create your future by your word. When I left school, I lost my dad in my final year.
Okay. Sorry to hear that.
No, it's okay. It was difficult for my mom. Now, what will I do? Will I sit at home, wallowing in regrets or whatever? You know what I did? I wake up every morning, take my bath. That's intentionality you're talking about. Take my bath, and I tell myself, I'm going to work. I step out. I say it. My mom was like, where are you going? I'm going to work, Mom. Work? Who gave you work? Don't worry, I'm going to work. Do you know that a childhood friend, way my senior, but we all grew up as partners, runs a business, called me to come and join him in his office? I said, no problem. What was I really going there to do? I was going to carry blocks, literally, because he's into building. If I didn't tell you, you wouldn't know. I go out every morning with 2 sets of clothing. One for work, the other to look fresh. So I go to site, take off my clothes, the good clothes, wear the work clothes, do the job. After the thing, I take my bath, I wear my dress, my special clothes.
Proper clothes, yeah.
I come back home. I did that over and over again. I told myself, my mom will not feed me, I will feed her. I'll be providing for her, as in I'll give her money. I'll buy certain things for myself. I won't depend on her. My other brother was really hard pressed and all that. So, but when you speak that word, it has happened. But listen, you need to work it. You need to work it. Yes, you need to work. You need to work it. Let me tell you this to buttress what I'm saying. When Jesus' mother at the marriage ceremony,
Marriage, yeah,
yes, told them, whatever he tells
you to do it. Yeah.
Why did she say that? Do you think that was the first time Jesus turned water into wine? Do you think?
I don't know. That was the first record of it.
Mary was Jesus' earthly mother. Jesus has been doing that in the house.
Turning water to wine.
Yes. So she said, whatever he tells you to do, you see that, my son? Whatever he tells you to do it. She's speaking from experience. She has encountered him. That he doesn't say things that he doesn't follow up. So whatever,
Fantastic.
whatever
Okay.
he puts you,
very good. So yeah, very good. So what I get here is that you've just hit the nail on the head, and you exemplifying that example with intentionality with the life of Jesus Christ. That when you said Jesus does not say something that he doesn't follow up. Now, I want to pull you back. Otherwise, we're not going to go anywhere, because it's like this is very interesting. Now, you have a background, a science background. You studied biochemistry. And the second part of the question was, because you've answered the first part, which is spirituality of the word, and then you answered the second part. Now I want you to answer the second part. What's the science of the word? There's a science of the word. What's it?
Yes, the scientists will always tell you what we cannot prove. What we cannot prove in terms of sight, sound, and taste, and touch. We find it difficult. Now, let me explain the science of words.
Okay.
Yes, with a story, because that's how I do my stuff. I learned. In describing things, I always tell a story. Have you heard about Watson and Crick? The people that elucidated the DNA structure. After I go read about them. Watson and Crick. They elucidated the DNA structure. When you look at the DNA structure, it is so abstract. The construct is so abstract that it will take you pen and paper, put it down, and write it, and describe it. Then you go and test it in the lab. A lady has been working on that thing. What's her name? Roosevelt Franklin, I think that's her name. Rosalind Franklin, sorry, not Roosevelt, Rosalind.
Okay, Rosalind, yeah, okay.
She's been working on that thing for years. She couldn't explain it. But when Watson and Crick saw what the image she flashed to them, they smiled. They said, this is DNA. They now went and constructed it, explained it. The science of the word, how does it work? This is how it works. From my perspective, this is how it works. I want something. I desire something. First of all, I must have an image of what I want. Then I speak that thing I want. It's not enough you thinking of it as in wishing it in your head. You speak it. Take a piece of paper, write it down. Then you discipline yourself in acting upon it. The more you do it and you build the intensity, that thing comes to you. It is a law. It comes to you. Just like the scriptures will say, whatsoever you sow comes back to you. So after writing, you practice. You practice. Then realize what you're practicing is under, or rather, it is expressed on the scale of time in this dimension, in our human, as in, it's expressed on the scale of time. So you check your progress. When you look back over that time frame, you come to see that actually the words I have been speaking and following up, they have become.
What you said is one aspect of the science.
Yep.
Well, there was a conversation that we had, and I also saw it about 11 years ago, about when you speak to plants and water. What happens when you speak to plants and water?
Let me explain that. It's a scientist, I think a psychologist or so, he was ascertain negative words and positive words.
Yeah.
Brought 2 petri dishes, poured water into them. Now you know that water is made up of H2O, hydrogen, 1 part hydrogen, 2 part hydrogen, 1 part oxygen. Molecularly, when you look at it under the microscope,
They have molecules,
the molecules and all that, you'll see them. So, in one, he was speaking positive words over warm petri dish with water, and speaking negative words over the other. He did this for like a week or so. Now, the good thing is, he first of all looked at them under the microscope before speaking. He saw the structure. He determined this is the right structure. This is what H2O water should look like. Fine. So over a period, he now went back to look at them. The one he was speaking to positively had a well-defined molecular structure. Beautiful, wonderful. But the other one that he was speaking negative words over, the structure was unpleasant to behold. He now went back and like, that is how, scientifically to determine something. It's like, wow. So these words we speak, they are real. They happen.
Yeah.
Just like life and death are the power
of the tongue.
And those who will eat from it. If we take the atmosphere around us and put it under microscope, those of us who are always speaking negative things, you'll be amazed what we're going to see.
No. Okay, Afanyaa, we have a few more minutes. If you will short our time, but I have to finish asking you because this maybe you will come again next time, but there's something I need to ask you.
Go ahead.
In your article in my website, you said that words saved you, and that was the incident in 2017 you're going to talk about. Practically speaking, how did the words save you?
Good. Now, 2017, something happened to me at work. I was caught in the web of organizational politics. For those of us who work in organizations, we understand what that means. And I was redeployed to the field. Now, it appeared like a demotion. I felt so upset because I love my job. My wife once told my friends, my colleagues, and people who care to listen, that my husband is a faithful husband, but he cheats on me with his job. You know what that means? I love my job. That my husband can get so engrossed in his work that he forgets that I'm even there. So I was upset with myself, very angry, until I went into a depressive state. I became depressed. My wife would always look at me and like, where is my husband? She says things, they don't excite me anymore. One particular day, we went to the movie. We're coming back from the movie. I almost killed myself and my wife. Yeah.
Really?
Yes, car crash. Because I lost it. My wife was scared. She didn't talk to me till we got home. Some few days later, she had to tell me, you need to get out of this thing. God used her to talk to me. Now she started telling me, you're a good writer. You speak well. You like telling stories. You can engage people. I thank God for my wife and listening to her. God spoke to me through her. So do you know what I did? I picked up my notepad, things I've written in the past. She said, you need to write a book. I said, dear husband, you need to write a book. I went back. I now sat down. First of all, that dream I told you earlier came back. There are so many things that have happened in my life, pointing to that direction. It came back to me. And I said, Lord, what do I do? Help me. He said, right. Now, my phone, I have my notepad on my phone. When I'm on transit, I'm writing. I'm just writing my experiences. If you read my HR notebook, in my memoir, you will see everything there. That was how I was just writing my experiences. I started writing. But first of all, I had to enjoy.
Yeah, you have to enjoy it to write it. Yeah.
I had to I had to find my joy in
yeah.
that space, you know. And I started like, it's like, I just discovered something. So I started writing. I wrote about my pain. I wrote about my wife. I wrote about my children, you know, family time, memory, you know, hanging out, taking a walk, my experience in Italy, because I spent some time working in Italy, you know, and all that. So I just, and do you know what, Ibi? It was like being intentional. I woke up one morning, depression gone. I'm happy. I'm always looking forward to writing. People now call me to write.
So writing was therapy for you, was therapeutic for you.
Therapeutic, that's the word. It was therapeutic, you know. I mean, the truth is, when I sit down, sometimes someone will tell you, after that period, have you not had some episodes? Of course. But the minute I get into that mood, you know what I tell myself? Go and write. I just pick up a book, as in a scrap paper, and I start writing. Or I sit in front of my computer, I start writing. And as I'm writing, I'm creating new stuff. And it now pushed me to an angle. My writings, when they are not normal, I know it, because they stem from that spiritual concept, coming from a dimension, as in it's just releasing it on me. I'm just writing.
Wow, it's amazing. It's amazing. So from writing, then you had your podcast as well, and you have your podcast, a Word Cafe with Max. And so where can we find your books? Your books, you have 3 books. You have your HR memoir.
My HR notebook. I have
HR notebook, yeah.
I have a cocktail of words, the color of word. You can find
cocktail and color of words, yeah.
You can find all of this on Amazon. If you are in Nigeria, just check on me online. Catch up with me. I can directly get the book across to you. And you can also get it on Roving Heights online bookshop. They have one in Lagos. They have one in Abuja, you know. And I have another one coming out very soon, which I will let us know. You know, I will let it out.
Listen, this conversation, right? We haven't even scratched the surface of this conversation, to be honest. We haven't. And I just want to say that it was fantastic. And I think we have to do a part 2, right? So just in summary, you're saying that our words are spiritual and there's a science behind the words, and that when we speak words, they come from a dimension that is spiritual, and that there's no word that is idle. There's no word that doesn't have a function, right? That when we speak, the words create a force field around us, but we have to be intentional about what we speak. And also, you also taught us about the science, and that's what even scared me the most, the science of words, in terms of like looking at words in the microscope and seeing what the effect that words had on water.
Yes.
So we can build our future and create our future by the words that we speak. But more than that, by putting into practice or walking towards that. So there's no wasted words. And then if you're from, the Niger Delta, you know the way when you speak words, or even generally speaking, when you speak words that are out of anger, or you just misyan, according to how we say in Nigeria, you could wash your mouth and then cancel what you've said and then say what you intended to say. So Max, you have to come back.
I will come back.
Next time. You have to come back next time. So I just want to say thank you everyone for being here today. I enjoyed this conversation. Thank you for staying from the beginning to the end. And if you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, it's Ibinabo and Enebi. Next month, September, I have another series which I call the Lemonade series, where people who've been through extraordinary life circumstances, or rather difficult life circumstances, came out of it on the other side to tell their stories. So again, the idea is to encourage you and to let you know that you're not alone in the walk, that people have been there and have succeeded as well. And so the idea of this Ibi Speaks is for people to share their experiences, that the experience will become like more or less like a lamp for you as you walk along the path of life. So if you haven't yet subscribed to my YouTube channel, it's Ibinabo Enebi. Please subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Yeah. So bye.